Somber, slightly echoing music begins, setting a mysterious tone. Welcome back to the Cursed Destinations. In this desolate corner of the world, where silence should reign supreme, the land itself has a voice. Tonight, we journey to a deserted village, a place abandoned not because of drought or famine, but because of a sound, a whisper carried on the night air. This is Season 6, Episode 13, The Rice Field Murmurs. For generations, the few remaining farmers who tended the vibrant green paddies on the village outskirts spoke of a strange phenomenon. They said the rice fields whispered names at night, not the names of the villagers or their ancestors, but names of strangers. They were faint at first, like the rustling of dry leaves, easily dismissed as the wind playing tricks on tired minds. The sounds would weave through the stalks, a soft chorus of forgotten voices that drifted away as quickly as they came. Most learned to ignore them, to block out the unsettling murmurs as a condition of working the land. It was a price, they reasoned, for the bountiful harvests the fertile soil provided year after year. Among these farmers was a young man named Luis. He was practical, grounded, and had little time for what he called old wives' tales. He believed in the sweat of his brow and the strength of his back. The whispers? Just the wind, he'd say with a shrug, his focus already on the next day's labor. He worked from sunup to sundown, his world defined by the predictable cycle of planting and reaping. The strange stories his elders told were just that, stories. He'd heard them his entire life, and they had never amounted to anything more than fireside chatter to spook the children. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of deep purple and orange, Luis was finishing his work later than usual. A cool breeze swept across the vast expanse of green, making the rice stalks sway in a hypnotic, wave-like rhythm. The familiar murmurs began, a low, indistinct hum that rose from the fields. Luis paid them no mind, securing his tools and preparing to head home. He was tired, and his thoughts were on a warm meal and a soft bed. But then, something changed. The chorus of whispers seemed to coalesce, to focus. Amidst the gentle rustling, a single clear sound cut through the air, sharp and undeniable. It wasn't a stranger's name this time, it was his own. Luis. The voice was like the wind itself, yet it carried an intelligence, a chilling intent that froze him in place. It was a dry, rasping sound, as if dragged up from deep within the earth. He spun around, his heart pounding against his ribs. He saw nothing but the endless sea of rice, rippling under the darkening sky. The fields seemed to breathe, the whispers growing louder, more insistent. A dozen unseen mouths repeating his name over and over. Luis. 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 Panic began to claw at his throat. This wasn't the wind. This was something else, something ancient and awake. He took a stumbling step backward, his eyes wide, scanning the darkening rows for any sign of movement. He told himself it was his imagination, a trick of exhaustion playing on his nerves. He had to get out of there. Now. He turned to run, but his foot caught on something. He looked down, expecting a root or a loose stone. Instead, what he saw made the blood drain from his face. A hand, caked in thick, wet mud and pale as bone, was reaching out from the soil between the rice stalks. Its fingers were long and gnarled like twisted roots, and they were closing around his ankle. He cried out, a strangled gasp of pure terror, and kicked wildly. The grip was impossibly strong, cold and unyielding, pulling him down. He fell hard into the mud, the damp earth sucking at his clothes. Another hand emerged, then another, their muddy fingers grasping at his legs, his arms, pulling him deeper into the flooded paddy. The whispers were deafening now, a swirling vortex of sound all around him, a cacophony of names joining his own, as if welcoming a new voice to their spectral choir. He fought, he screamed, but his struggles only seemed to sink him faster into the waiting embrace of the field. The last thing he saw was the canopy of rice stalks closing over his head like a shroud, The last thing he heard was his own name, whispered one final time as the mud filled his mouth. The next morning, the sun rose on a perfectly still and silent field. Luis was gone. The only trace of him was his straw hat, found resting gently in the middle of the paddy, still warm. The fields had claimed another name for their nightly whispers. Thanks for watching. We delve deeper into the darkness with every story, so if you're brave enough to continue this journey, don't forget to follow and subscribe. Stay tuned for more chilling tales from cursed destinations.